Okay, I've got the PVC cement, the wrench. I need the stack, please.
Stack.
And I need the drain.
Drain.
I need the pliers.
Pliers.
Thank you.
And you're gonna need this. Blowtorch.
Oh, I hope so. Oh, that's sweet. Oh, wait, here he is. Hang on a second. Richard?
Hey, how are you?
Ooh, Richard.
Yeah. I heard you're gonna do a little plumbing story for
I
me?
am. You okay with that?
Oh, yeah, I remember my first day.
All right, well, I just need a couple tips.
All right. Righty tighty, lefty loosey.
Right, tight,
Hot's on the left.
hot, loose.
No, heat goes to cold.
Heat on the right.
High pressure goes to low.
High is cold.
Don't
Low?
cross the threads.
I know that. Come on, I know that.
The most important thing, what you never want to forget.
Yeah.
Don't ever, ever.
Yeah.
Richard.
Yeah.
Deck.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Most
See you
important.
later.
Oh, wait. Well, I hope it wasn't important. Well, good morning. I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to Ask This Old House. If you've got a question about your house, we'd love to hear from you. Send us a letter, send us an email. And in fact, today's project takes us to the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. This diverse hub on the shores of Lake Michigan has tons of things to see and do. Tall buildings, lots of stores, and the deepest deep dish pizza you have ever seen. Today we are in Park Ridge, which is a neighborhood just outside of Chicago, and we're working on a plumbing story. Each one of these houses has a sewer line running from the house out to the street. So sewage flows from the house to a main line here underground, and then everything is carried off to a treatment facility. Now in this neighborhood, as is the case in many neighborhoods, that sewer system is actually connected to a stormwater system as well. And that means that when it rains, rainwater comes through this grate, it comes out to this main line, and then the rainwater and the sewage mix and are carried off to the treatment facility. Now the entire system is designed to handle 2 to 3 inches of rain per hour. But if you get more rain than that, well, the system can back up. And instead of having sewage coming from the house, you can actually have sewage flowing to the house. So Janet, you got a huge rainstorm about a month ago, 10 inches, right?
Yes, I was thinking it was a glorious rainstorm. I was sleeping. I remember listening to the raindrops falling on the awning. Got up, came down for my morning cup of tea, peeked down the basement stairs and saw the shimmer of water on the floor. And I knew the glory of the rainfall was over with.
So you took in a lot of water. Where was it coming from?
It was coming up from the floor drains here.
You've got one right here in the corner.
Yes.
So this was not groundwater seeping in or coming through the doors and windows. This was actually backing up from your sewer system.
With a mighty force. It knocked the shelf right out of its slat there.
So how much water came in the basement?
After it all receded and I measured, it was 42 inches.
Whoa.
This workbench was completely underwater and then some. My water heater and all its component parts were underwater. My furnace was up to here.
And did you lose all of your mechanical equipment?
I lost everything.
And you're actually being nice here because you're calling it water. This is really water and sewage.
It was raw sewage, yes indeed. You know, the frustrating thing, Kevin, is that I thought I had a system in place to prevent all of this.
And obviously it failed.
It sure
So
did.
we have called in a local expert to tell us what happened with that system and what the solution is. Dennis, how are you?
Kevin, good. And yourself?
So what are we looking at here? We've got a giant pit here in the front yard. What is this?
What is known in the industry as a backwater valve flood control.
And what am I looking at?
Well, it consists of 2 systems. This first system is a check valve in line with the sewer line.
So a check valve, it's basically a one-way door. In this case, it's open to allow sewage to flow from the house out to the street. But when the storm comes and builds up pressure, it basically closes that valve so that sewage can't get into the house.
Correct.
With the door closed or the check valve closed, how does the sewage get out of the house?
Well, that's the second part of the system. There's a whole pumping system here that the house flows out of the sewer into an ejector basin in which a pump takes it, pumps it up and over the inline check valve, and pushes it into the city sewer.
Okay, so Janet ended up with 40 inches of sewage in your basement. Something happened. What went wrong?
Basically, the system failed. What happened is that the check valve on the sewer line blew off. It allowed so much sewage to come in here, overwhelmed the pump, and it failed.
Okay, and what's the solution?
Replace the entire system.
Sounds like a lot of work. We better get to it. It looks like you are about to dig yourself a pretty big hole here.
That's correct, Kevin. We got to remove this entire vault.
Taking everything out, this entire concrete wall system here?
Yes.
So there's nothing about the system that you like?
No.
How come no heavy equipment?
We want to protect the lawn. As a matter of fact, when we leave this job, we want it to look like we weren't even here. And now that we're about 3.5, 4 feet down, we're using a sledgehammer to break apart the existing vault so we can remove it by hand.
So a lot of work, Dennis, but it looks like you guys are pretty much done with your excavation.
Yes, we've taken out the walls, we've removed the floor, we moved the incoming water line.
So that's the lead pipe that I'm seeing there, sort of in the half-round fashion with the copper connection in the middle. That supplies water to the house?
Correct.
So that's out of the way, and now we've got really good exposure to the broken PVC check valve. Is that ready to come out?
That's ready to come out.
Let's pull it out and have a look at it. Comes right out of there. So here's the old PVC assembly. Do we know what failed?
I can tell you exactly what failed. When the full vault of water receded, both the lid here and the check valve inside had blown off and were laying at opposite ends of the empty vault.
How does that happen?
That just tells me that the pressure was so great that this lid blew off, and when that happened, that freed up this check valve, because the only thing holding this valve on was the lid.
And then when that happens, you have got a straight shot into Janet's basement, which gives us 40 inches of sewage.
Yes.
Okay, so that's no good. And this is what we are replacing it with, right?
Yes, this is our double guard system. It consists of 2 check valves in series.
Right.
Along with the overflow.
And it's not PVC.
And it's full cast iron.
And these are not screwed down. They're actually bolted in place.
Correct.
So that should hold up. And here's a little mock-up you've got of one right here. We can take this off, and we've got a cast iron housing, and then we have got ourselves a brass check valve in here. So under normal operation, sewage flows from the house past the check valve to the street. During a storm, brass check valve is shut, and none of this city sewage can get past it, or in this case, past 2 of these.
Correct.
All right, well, let's get this guy in.
Wally's lowering the valves down to Albert so that we can connect them up into the sewer line. Now Albert's tightening up the connection on the rubber couplings. And now we're lowering down concrete to pack onto the front connection, because that's taking the pressure from the city, and that's the most important joint.
Pack it in concrete, make it nice and secure.
Yes. And now we're adding aggregate to the concrete in order to strengthen the base around the valves. And now we add water. We're now adding sand to the base of our vault so we can start laying our curved block. With these curved blocks, we will rebuild the walls. And now with the first course laid, we will continue to build the walls up, all the way up to grade, mortaring and backfilling as we go.
All right, well, it's a big job, and I know we still have some more work to do, but Janet, you are in good hands with these guys. Dennis, thanks so much for helping us out.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, it's prettier than a Christmas tree. I can hardly wait for the next glorious storm. Thank you.
Hey, you know what? You can have your plumbing projects back. Yeah, 42 inches of sewage, just not for me.
You know, this condition is so typical in the Midwest. You've got all that flat land out there, storm and sewer lines come together out in the street, and they have rain, torrential rain. And when that happens, water has to seek its own level. It'll work from the street back into the house.
And water seeking its own level, that really means that because she had 42 inches of sewage in her basement, that meant she had 42 inches out in the front yard in that big pit.
Out in the pit, and the whole neighborhood was elevated by 42 inches.
So really, any open pipe in the basement that is below, in this case, the 42 inches, that's a possible penetration.
That could be a floor drain, that could be a standpipe for a wash machine, or it might even be a basement bathroom. There's really a lot of advantages to that backwater valve, too. You can still use your floor drains in case there's groundwater coming in during that heavy rain.
Which would be likely.
Absolutely. And you can still use the plumbing in the house even when there's a big flood trying to come inside the building.
All right, even more lessons. Thanks,
That's right.
Richard.